All right, guys. So Whoopi Goldberg had another meltdown on The View, and she's been having a whole lot of meltdowns lately for whatever reason, ever since she got back from being suspended for her ignorant comments on the Holocaust. She just seems to be on this crusade of very, very, very stupid takes, right? She hasn't really learned her lesson from the suspension. She's actually ratcheted up the stupidity, right? And this take right here, again, is just in line with, again, some of her more silly takes. That, in my opinion, I don't understand how ABC justifies paying this woman millions of dollars a year to literally go on TV and to give factually incorrect information, okay? Because that is what she's doing here in this segment. And it blows my mind that this is even allowed, okay? I don't understand why she has a job. But just like Biden's Supreme Court nominee, Miss Ketanji Brown Jackson, who Whoopi is going to be talking about in this segment, Whoopi maybe is an affirmative action hire, right? So maybe she has more leeway than she otherwise would get if she was a different skin color. I don't know, right? I don't know. I'm just saying something ain't right here about the fact this woman still has a job. But hey, who am I to judge? So with that being said, we're going to get into this take from Whoopi. But before that, I just want to let you guys know that if you like my channel, you want to support my channel, you can do so using the links in the description below. You support the Patreon, you support the PayPal, you support the merch. There are multiple ways to support the channel if you would like to do so. So without further ado, let's go ahead and play this clip of Whoopi Goldberg stating that Republican opposition to Ketanji Brown Jackson is because they don't trust a black woman and that Republicans are racist. Take a look.
You know, this is the most ridiculous. Just say, I don't trust a black woman to do the job. Because I know that y'all didn't have these same issues with Amy Coney Barrett. You didn't ask those questions. You didn't have those problems. And when Amy Coney Barrett answered the same way that Judge Ketanji Brown did when you asked her if you thought they were going to need more people on the Supreme Court. Nobody seemed to have a problem with her answer.
No.
But so many of you have problems with Judge Brown. You know what? I know what this is.
Yeah.
We all know what it is. We know what it is. We recognize it. We're used to this. But you know what? You can't take away what this woman is and who she is and what she's done and how she got there.
Yeah.
She's going to be voted through, right?
She is going to be voted through. I think it'll come out of this committee a tie, 11-11. We don't know yet. And then, you know, Senator Schumer can bring it to the floor. And she'll probably be confirmed on Thursday. But to Whoopi's point, you know, what's interesting to me is that we know that the court is conservative. It's conservative 6-3.
Yeah.
Judge Jackson, soon to be, in my view, Justice Jackson's point of view or whatever she does not change the composition of the court. So for that senator, for Senator Blunt to even imply that she's not going to do what needs to be done on the court is bull.
Well,
it's bull.
It's not. It's I'll tell you what it is. It's lame, pathetic, cowardice, partisanship. Okay, because they are bending themselves into pretzel shapes, and they're agonizing and apologizing, right? Basically, for saying we're not going to do the right thing. We feel bad that we're voting against her. They feel bad because they know she's going to be the justice.
Not bad enough.
Well, they feel bad because she's going to have the 50 votes. She's going to be the justice, and they are going to have missed the historical moment of voting for the first black woman.
Yeah.
And they're going to go down in history as having been against the first black woman justice, which is a big moment for this country. Whomever likes it, fine. Whomever dislikes it, fine. Whether you accept it, you acknowledge it. It is a huge historical moment over almost 240 years of the Supreme Court.
You know what?
Deal with it. Go ahead.
All right, guys. So as you just heard there and seen there, that is the classic, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, so I'm just gonna cry racism, right? That's literally what that is from Whoopi, because she literally has no clue what she's talking about. She's just talking to talk, okay? Because she doesn't know what she's talking about, she has to pull the race card, right? Because she doesn't really understand the Republican opposition to Miss Ketanji Brown Jackson. She doesn't really understand it. So again, because she doesn't understand it, it's racist because, you know, I disagree with them. So therefore, it must be racism. And I'm going to tell you why she doesn't know what she's talking about. Because she brings up Amy Coney Barrett as a counterexample in regards to why this is racist. He said, well, the Republicans, they were totally cool with Amy Coney Barrett's answer on court packing. They had no problem when she gave the same exact answer that Ketanji Brown Jackson gave on court packing. Well, the problem with that, Whoopi, is that Amy Coney Barrett was never asked whether or not she supports court packing. She was never asked that. What she was actually asked by Senator Mike Lee from Utah was, quote, does the Constitution say anything about the size of the court? And Amy Coney Barrett says, quote, the Constitution does not. That is a question left open to Congress. It's my understanding that it's been 9 for about 150 years, but that's a matter of statute, not constitutional requirement. So she was never asked about whether or not she supports court packing. Now, on the other hand, Miss Ketanji Brown Jackson was asked by Democrat Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois. He said, now that the question on court packing was posed to Amy Coney Barrett, justice on the court, when she appeared before this committee, she was asked about it. She said, and I quote, I cannot opine on it. Now, again, the problem with this question from Dick Durbin is that she wasn't asked what her opinion is on it. She asked, does the Constitution say anything about the size of the Supreme Court? Those are two different questions. So he says, so Judge Jackson, if a senator were to ask you today about proposals about changing the current size of the Supreme Court, what would your response be? Ketanji Jackson says, quote, Senator, I agree with Justice Barrett in her response to that question when she was asked for this committee. Again, my North Star is the consideration of the proper role of a judge in our constitutional scheme. And in my view, judges should not be speaking into political issues and certainly not a nominee for a position on the Supreme Court. So I agree with Justice Barrett. Again, now, the obvious issue here, right, is that, again, these are not the same questions. Amy Coney Barrett was never asked about her opinion on packing the court. She was asked about what the Constitution says about packing the court. Now, Ms. Ketanji Brown Jackson, on the other hand, was asked about what would she say in response to proposals to pack the court. Now, that question is a lot more open-ended, okay, in terms of her response. It's not necessarily asking her whether or not she supports it, but you could interpret it that way, right? I'm not sure exactly what he was getting at, but Ketanji Brown Jackson basically avoids answering the question by saying, well, I guess that, I'll say the same thing that Miss Amy Coney Barrett said, right? I just can't really talk about it, okay? But again, those were two different questions. But regardless, okay, what Whoopi saying here is silly. And Ana Navarro at the end talking about how, well, Republicans are going to go down in history as blocking or trying to get in the way of the first black woman being nominated to the Supreme Court. And I'm like, no. Actually, Democrats are the ones that are going down in history for that. Specifically, your boyfriend, Joe Biden, is going down in history of that because he did that back when Bush was president. When Biden literally went out of his way to filibuster the nomination of Miss Janice Brown Rogers, who the GOP was actively appointing to the appeals court, which is a court that produces a whole lot of Supreme Court justices, which later on could have been used to appoint her when a seat came open. And when that seat, in fact, did come open, right, after she eventually got appointed to the appeals court, Biden came out and went on television, was like, if Bush nominates her, a black woman, we're going to filibuster it. We're not going to allow it to happen, because he did not want to give the GOP credit for putting the first black woman on the Supreme Court. Okay, so if you want to talk about going down in history in terms of blocking the progress of black women, you need to point at your boyfriend, Joe Biden. That's who you need to be pointed at, because he literally did that for political reasons, for partisan hackery. The same thing that she's coming after the Republicans for. Okay, because look, at the end of the day, she is right about the fact that a lot of this is partisan hackery. Okay, it was partisan hackery when the Democrats were against Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh, and it was partisan hackery when the Republicans were against Merrick Garland and this lady. Right? It's all political theater. Okay, we all know that whoever controls the Senate, they're gonna get that nominee pushed through. Okay, so at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't really matter. They're gonna get that nominee pushed through. It is what it is. But if you're going to call out one side for political hackery, then you got to call out the other side, because both parties do it, right? It's just a show, right, at the end of the day. But I love how there's this thing about any criticism of Ketanji Brown Jackson has to come from a place of racism because she's a black woman. But these people are more than happy to openly criticize Clarence Thomas as if he's not a black man. Okay, they're playing this game as if only some black people are actually black. Okay, and it has to be liberal black people. Only liberal black people are actually black and enjoy the protections of not being able to criticize black people. But if it's a conservative black person like Clarence Thomas, oh, it's open season on that person because he doesn't agree with our opinions. His blackness all of a sudden doesn't give him the veil of protection from criticism. I find it fascinating how this works. And I wish I could go on this show, right? Who knows? Maybe one day I will. I wish I could go up this show and literally just call this out to these women's faces and be like, okay, your criticism of Clarence Thomas is racist, okay? Because you're saying that if you criticize a black person that is a Supreme Court nominee or on the Supreme Court or whatever, that's racist, right? And their opinions are automatically unfounded simply because they're black, okay? So that being said, then your criticism of Clarence Thomas is racist, okay? Now, obviously my opinion is that you should be able to openly criticize anybody without being called racist. It's just the point is that it is silly when the first thing you want to default to when somebody doesn't agree with you is, well, it comes from a place of racism, right? It really is silly. Because at the end of the day, the consistency doesn't even lie with the skin color of the person. It simply just lies with the political opinions of the person, okay? They have to be politically aligned with you, or if they aren't, if they don't agree with Democrats, then it's automatically racist, regardless of the skin color. Regardless of the skin color. It's so funny how that works, and it's also sad to watch black people, right, push this, okay? It is one thing for white liberals to do it. It's another thing to see black people actively participating in this charade of, well, you're only really black if you're liberal, right? It's really sad. It really is. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.